Hey everyone, this is Marla from Nerdy Mom Studios, and I'm here to go over my favorite Phase 4 movie rankings. If you haven't already, please go ahead and subscribe. I appreciate all your support. Anyways, now many people think that Phase 4 was boring. I think it's mainly because it's coming off of the biggest movie of all time, which is Endgame. Like, how can we even top that, right? So I do think this phase was more of a building phase. Nothing major happened other than the opening the multiverse, which to be fair is huge, but we haven't gotten any answers. These questions will be answered during phase 5. With phase 4 done, let's get started on my personal ranking. Again, this is my opinion. Many others have their own rankings, and that's totally cool. I'll be ranking from my least favorite to my top favorite. So, to begin, my last spot for least favorite is Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, only because this is the only movie I did not watch. I stated before, I'm not a fan of magic, the occult. I don't like horror movies, violent, like gory violence. Um, so yeah, I don't like Doctor Strange. I'm not a fan of him. Now, I am aware of what happened in the movie. Wanda is the villain, and she's out looking for a universe to find her kids. And she needs America Chavez so she can jump multiverses through the multiverse. This movie gives us a fan casting of John Krasinski as Mr. Fantastic. They also bring back Patrick Stewart as Professor X. We get Black Bolt, Captain Carter, and another variant of Captain Marvel. We know Wanda is going to be back in the MCU for multiple projects, so we know she's not dead. And at the end, we get a tease of Incursions, which apparently is huge for Avengers Secret Wars, which we know is also coming out. Since I did not watch this movie, this is going to be at the very bottom of my list. So 0 out of 10. Can't give it any ranking because I have not watched it. Moving on, we have The Eternals. Again, this is not my favorite movie. To be honest, when it first came out, I wasn't even excited for it. I had no idea who they were, but I do think they did cast some really big names. It was filmed very beautifully, but there was just too much going on for me. They had too many characters to introduce all at once. The main character, Cersei, was so boring to me. Her action sequence were so slow and awkward. It was just not for me. We know there will be a sequel, so I just hope they pull it all together and these characters get better storytelling and action sequences. Um, so I would probably give this a 4 out of 10. Next, we have Black Widow, and I love Natasha. She's one of my favorite Avengers, and I'm happy she finally got her own movie. And we got Yelena introduced to us. I do think I would have liked this much better if it came out before Infinity War. This was just a little out of place in Phase 4. It was mainly used to introduce the new Black Widow, which was Yelena, but the plus side of this movie was it had really good action sequences. Yelena and the Red Guardian brought the humor, but the villain to me was pretty lame. This movie really didn't add anything of significance other than bringing Yelena in, which she went on to appear in Hawkeye, and we know she'll be returning in the Thunderbolts. So I ranked this movie probably a 5 out of 10. Next, I listed Thor Love and Thunder. This was a pretty controversial movie. Either you liked it or you hated it. I definitely did not like it more than Ragnarok, but this did feel like a classic Marvel movie, and maybe that is because it's Thor. He's one of the last original Avengers. And with so many new heroes being introduced, it was refreshing to see some familiarity. Now, I do believe it was a bit too humorous. It should have been a tad bit more serious. Christian Bale as the villain was creepy. Not the best MCU villain, but I do think Hela was much more intimidating, which was disappointing to me because I love Christian Bale as an actor. And I think they definitely did not use him to his fullest potential. I did like seeing the cosmic side of Thor and seeing the other gods like Zeus, which is hilarious. I'm excited for the tease of Hercules for the future in the MCU. I was not a huge fan of the Mighty Thor, Natalie Portman, and the main reason was because of her hair, which it just bugged me so bad. It looked terrible. I couldn't take her seriously, and I know it sounds so dumb, but I just couldn't get over it. I couldn't take her seriously with the wigs. You would think they had more money to invest to make it more real. I don't know. I will have to give this one a 5 out of 10. So far, Thor and Black Widow are tied for my list. Next, I have Shang-Chi. Now, this was the way to introduce a new Marvel character. What made his character different and special was that he had no powers. He was just really good at fighting, and these fighting sequences were amazing. We haven't seen much hand-to-hand combat in the MCU like Shang-Chi, and I was not a fan of Aquafina until this movie. I was actually pretty annoyed that they casted her in this movie, but she took me by surprise. She was funny, but not overly funny. Now, the villain was not that impressive. It was just his dad, but we get to see the 10 rings, which are now connected to Miss Marvel and maybe Ant-Man and the Wasp. So we're finally seeing some connectivity to the rest of the MCU. But Shang-Chi, pretty solid movie, especially for an origin story. Really nice to see something totally different that we haven't seen in the MCU before. I was never bored with this movie, so I'm gonna have to rate this movie 8 out of 10, which is a huge jump from Thor and Black Widow to this. Now, my second favorite is going to be Black Panther Wakanda Forever. And I had a really hard time placing this on my list. For a while, it was number one, but I'll explain why my number one is number one. But for now, Black Panther is my second favorite. I was left so impressed, emotional, and really excited to see it again. The villain was amazing, the best villain, and I would even say better than Thanos. Even though Thanos was a much bigger threat, Namor was just top tier, and he was, for the most part, not even CGI. He was very menacing, but you also sympathize for him. It was just great, great writing and for his origin story. I was really sketched out with reports of Shuri becoming the Black Panther. I didn't think she looked the part, but she impressed me. She did such a great job, and all the supporting characters were awesome. We also got introduced to Ironheart, which for me, I'm whatever about. Can't say I'm too excited about her show, but we'll just have to wait and see. I already posted my full review on this movie, so go check it out on my YouTube page. And I give this movie an 8.8 out of 10. That's my opinion, guys. Now, my top Phase 4 movie is Spider-Man No Way Home. Now, the reason being is because of the hype around this movie before getting released. The scoops, the spoilers, the like leaked photos, the rumors, the excitement of it all, it was because of that hype that I got into YouTubing and Funko Pop collecting. This was Tom Holland's best acting as Spider Man yet. We got all that nostalgia with Tobey and Andrew returning with their Spider Man villains also. Willem Dafoe was amazing as Green Goblin. I cried, I laughed, I teared. The audience reaction made this movie much more enjoyable. It was also kind of like the same hype as Infinity War and Endgame. And I'm really excited to see what is to come for Spider-Man now that he is basically starting over. I have to give this movie a 9.4 out of 10 because it did have its faults, but it was still such a solid movie. Now, looking forward to Phase 5, I'm probably most excited for Ant-Man and the Wasp since he will be seeing Kang. Guardians will also be one to watch since this will most likely be the last of the Guardians franchise. Other than that, I'm excited to see the Thunderbolts. Phase 6 is where we will get the next two Avengers movies. So much more to look forward to in the MCU. I'll have to go back and make a new video ranking the Phase 4 TV shows. So stay tuned. I thank you guys so much for watching, and please let me know in the comments what your list is. Again, this is a safe place, no judgment here. If you haven't already, please, please, please go ahead, like this video, subscribe, tell your friends, subscribe. I appreciate all your support and thank you guys so much again for watching.